I had an amazing experience with Frank Sinatra. I used to do a lot of things in Washington, D.C., big inaugural things, like inaugural balls and so forth for my friends. I was close friends with a lot of presidents. In fact, I was such a good friend of Nixon that when I'd go to Washington, I'd sleep in the Lincoln Room. Now, this was back in the days when it was safe to sleep there because you were not likely to wake up with a Korean banker in bed with you. And so I was back there doing one of his big inaugural balls, and I was putting on my pants to go to the Kennedy Theater for the big variety show with Frank Sinatra and Bob Hope, the big boys. My wife and I were getting dressed. I was putting on my tuxedo at the Washington Hilton Hotel about an hour and a half before the show. The phone rang, and there was a member of the committee for the big gala, and they said, Art, would it be possible, would you do the first hour instead of Frank Sinatra? You're kidding. Well, what happened to Frank? He says he got into an argument with the stage director and he's walked off the show. I said, you mean he stiffed the President of the United States and the gala because he got into an argument with a local director? He says, you know Frank, and you know he's short fused, and I did. I've seen Frank do some rather interesting things. He's gone. He says, I know it's asking a lot, but could you do it? I said, well, it's a variety show, isn't it? I'm introducing people. He says, yeah. I said, I've been getting ready for this for 40 years. Of course, I'll be down. We'll do it. Just have the names and give me some information. And I did. So now the intermission comes along, and Bob Hope shows up because he knows the time. He's not coming to the show. He came into my dressing room. He says, Art, you did the first show. And I said, yeah. He says, what jokes did you tell? That's the first question any comic will ask any other comic or comedian who preceded him on anything that he hasn't heard. You know that. We've all been on telethons where we've appeared and somebody else has gone, you tell your favorite joke and nothing. The guy told it. So I said, well, Bob, you know, I don't tell any jokes that you tell. He says, but you tell things about people doing funny things. He says, would you please, now he's showing you what a pro this guy is, would you do me a favor and come down to my dressing room and go over my cue cards? I said, certainly. I went down. We went over about 175 cue cards, all written down. And there was only one. I asked a kid about something, and he wanted to be an admiral, and so forth. And he says, oh, out goes the joke about the Navy. Just in general, not kids or not the admiral. And I had a great deal of respect for Bob to show not only its experience and knowledge that this can happen to you, but the willingness to ask another performer to go out of his way to come down and do that job. Isn't that interesting?
Great.